Hey guys, Paul Morrow here again for Robstes.org, doing a big news recap for Thursday, 28 August. Here we go. So, first of all, we're coming into the long Labor Day weekend. So, this will likely be the last dispatch until next week. We'll see you on the other side of the long Labor Day weekend. We're going to take it easy a little bit this weekend and just try to celebrate the end of summer 2025. We made it. Boy, did that go fast. Now, let's get to the news. We got to stay on this Minneapolis shooting story. As much as we'd all like to put it behind us because it's just so unfathomably awful, there are aspects of this thing that still are murky and not getting clarified. And by now, we usually have a much more fulsome picture of what occurred. And here are some of the questions I have. Number one, when you consider the degree of psychosis that seems to be quite evident in the videos and the writings of this person, then you got to say to yourself, somebody must have seen this level of homicidal and suicidal ideation. Somebody around this guy, and I say guy purposely. I'm done with the pronoun follies here, all right? Even the shooter, whose name I'm not saying, all right, because that's what he wanted. He wants to be famous. Well, F him, he's not getting it, all right? So even the shooter, though, said that he didn't want to live and all sort of stuff, but he didn't want to be trans anymore. And that he was sorry that he had done it. He said, I don't want to be trans. I'm tired of being trans. And I'm sorry, I brainwashed myself. So you got to say to yourself, this was a person that was very clearly struggling with all kinds of internal combat. Nobody around him saw this. And he had no prior encounters with law enforcement. He had all of those guns. And nobody said, there's a little bit of a problem here. Why do I raise that? Because even though they're saying he has no police record, that doesn't mean that the police weren't called to deal with him at some point because somebody was freaked out by him or he was having an episode. And I say that because Minnesota, you're not hearing about this, Minnesota has red flag laws signed into law by Tim Walz 2 years ago. Nobody encountered this guy. The red flag laws allow police to remove guns from somebody who evinces a psychotic break, even if the guns are legally obtained and held. And then you can petition the court to keep the guns away from this person. And anybody can bring that pretty much that has purchase on this person's life, not only law enforcement, but a household member or family. And so under those auspices, I find it hard to believe that nobody ever said, there's a problem with this guy. And by the way, he's got an arsenal. Maybe we better tell somebody. And the reason I go into all this is because there are still major questions here that normally we'd have answers to. For instance, did he work? Where is the job history of this person? And in fact, you're not even hearing anything about a college life. There's reporting that he went to a Catholic high school, but after that, the whole situation seems to run dry. Did he go to college? Did he have a job? There doesn't seem to be any employment history. So who was supporting him? How was he keeping heart and soul together? I find all of this very, very opaque at this point. And like I said, normally by now, you would start to get some answers. Furthermore, where did he live? That doesn't even seem to be fully decided yet. There are a couple of conflicting things that are bouncing around online. But remember, the police chief, O'Hara, when he gave the last interview of yesterday, which was the last point I think where we got some real substantive information, he said that the shooter, that the police, were executing search warrants in 3 locations, 3 residences. Why 3 residences? Normally you got 1 residence, then you do the car, if there's a storage location, et cetera, et cetera. 3 different residences on the day of the shooting when you're really trying to get to the stuff to see where his computer is, where his phone is, talk to the witnesses that lived with him or know him very closely. I don't get that. You didn't get 1 location that is supposed to be the residence. 3 different residences. Where did he live? Was he bouncing around? Who was around this guy? A lot of this is very murky. And I got to say, it only gets murkier when you hear that maybe the parents are not cooperating. Fox News broke today that the mother's not being cooperative and, in fact, has gotten herself a criminal defense lawyer. Now, I don't understand any of this because nobody has imputed any blame to her. Does she think that there's going to be vicarious liability, that she's going to get arrested the way the Crumbley parents happened in Michigan after the Michigan school shooting? A lot of us in the legal community were very uncomfortable with that case, but it went to trial and they got 2 manslaughter convictions, and it was kind of a new thing, even though it's on appeal. But is that what she's worried about? And if that's the case, is it justified? These are just questions. I'm not blaming her, but I don't understand why we don't have a lot of these answers. I'm Paul Morrow for the Ops Desk. Enjoy Labor Day weekend and stay safe.